Today we are going to be talking about the Kyle Rittenhouse Always Ready bundle available at armoredrepublic.com. It's a very practical kit, including everything that you need all the way from hydration to first aid to general purpose to magazine holders and to a very comfortable plate carrier. So included is the Testudo Gen 3 plate carrier, and we also have 2 C3 plates that I've included in the bundle. So these plates are multi-curve, multi-hit ceramic, so they can take multiple rounds. I really like these plates because it's going to offer level 4 protection. Thank you guys for watching. Again, you can go to armoredrepublic.com, linked below, and you can purchase your Kyle Rittenhouse Always Ready bundle today.
Hey y'all, welcome to Cross Politics on the Fight Laugh Feast Network. Hope you had a good weekend and practice all 5 C's. How do you like that, Knox?
That was pretty good.
Is that pretty good?
Yeah. Now we got to talk about the 5 C's.
Now we got to talk about 5 C's.
That's not what the show is about.
That's what it was supposed to be about, but that just changed.
It's not going to be about Zelensky.
No, it should be about that too.
It's not going to be about the 5 C's.
It should also be about that. That's cosmology.
We're going to talk about democratic politics, masculinity.
No, we're going to talk about a story that a lot of people haven't really been giving attention to.
Okay.
Eric Adams, Mayor Eric Adams in New York.
Yeah.
New Yorkers know this story, but I don't think everybody else has been following it as closely.
New York, it's its own beast.
Yeah, he's having a Jesus moment, he says.
a Bible moment. This is a Bible moment.
We're gonna find out what Eric Adams' biblical moment is all about. But are you looking for the Office 365 or sweet competitor for the parallel economy? Look no further than Pax Mail. Email? Check. Office Suite with Word, Excel, PowerPoint alternatives? Check. Calendars, contacts, appointments, and forms? Check. Privacy matters. We don't sell ads. We safeguard your data like it's our own. We also believe in protecting innocence. Pax Mail believes that every child deserves a chance at life. That's why we use a portion of our proceeds to support initiatives to save children from abortion. Join the movement. Be a part of something bigger. Help us build a parallel economy and keep the money in the family. Join Pax Mail. And let's build a brighter future today. Visit paxmail.cc today. It's Pax, Paxmail.cc, paxmail.cc. Remember, like and share this show. If you just tuning in.
And go over to iTunes, leave a comment.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think we haven't said that in probably years.
I know.
A lot of people get our show on iTunes. Actually, a large majority do.
If you listen to our show on iTunes,
subscribe there too.
And Spotify.
Follow us on Spotify. And leave a comment.
But leave, it.
You can leave comments on Spotify too.
Give us some.
I'm so behind the
Give
times.
us some stars. Give us some love.
Or don't.
Don't. And again, if you're on the show right now, if you're watching or listening on X or YouTube, share it with somebody. Like it, share it. Do you love the Bible and good stories? Then you need to come to the Christ is Lord Conference at Crossroad Church in Earlham, Iowa.
Ooh, you speaking there, aren't you?
No, I'm not. March 21 and 22, Pastor C.R. Wiley, Joe Rigney, Stephen Albin, and Grant Brown will be headlining our conference subtitled Lessons from Fiction, Lewis Tolkien, and God's Plan for the Household. But I would like to go.
Yeah.
Totally go. Stories matter to God, and so stories should matter to you. Come join us in Iowa to think on these things with fellow saints. To register, visit ChristIsLordAcademy.org, ChristIsLordAcademy.org, and click on the conference tab. So visit ChristIsLordAcademy.org today.
That was it.
I don't know. And join the club.
There you go.
Message. All right.
So this is you.
Okay. So I haven't liked a Democrat in a very long time. And I've been really intrigued by Democrats lately because I think they've just been killing themselves. Enough about abortion, though.
Yeah.
But they really have been. There's no real leaders anymore in the Democratic Party.
Well, and the people that actually had a strong, independent opinions all got driven into the Republican Party.
Right. Yeah.
Effectively.
Yeah.
I mean,
Tulsi.
That's true.
RFK.
Yeah.
And Tulsi was like the chair of the Democratic Party, right? Associate chair.
Vice chair?
Vice chair. Vice chair of the Democratic Party. Yeah. I mean, they had her. Would you want to run against Tulsi Gabbard? I don't think that's a good look. And so they got rid of her. The last time I liked a Democrat was, what's her name? Letitia, was it Jackson out in Louisiana, District 17?
She's a pro-life Democrat.
She was a pro-life Democrat. And she said Louisiana is a pro-life state. Yeah. When's the last time a Democrat said
she
something
was
like
vice chair from January 2013 to February 2016.
That was Tulsi.
3
Wow.
years. Wow.
Yes.
Yes.
She was up there.
By the way, there's a video clip out there of everybody saying she is the next thing.
Yeah.
She's next up. Tulsi Gabbard, be
And
watching
the
her.
Democratic Party?
The Democratic Party was saying she is going to be the leader of the Democratic Party. There's a whole string
Right.
of everybody
So-
who hates her now.
So basically, the Democratic Party is continuing their legacy of abortion.
That's right.
And just killing
They're
themselves.
just waiting until they're older.
what happened was she resigned from DNC vice chair and on her way out endorsed Sanders.
Really?
Because remember, the Democratic
yeah.
Party was
Yeah.
weighting the
Yes.
scales
Yes.
against everything.
Hillary.
So
Yeah.
she probably did that just to, I doubt she'd like.
Interesting.
So
I don't know,
Eric Adams,
follow everything that he does, but
Eric Adams is the mayor of New York City.
the mayor of New York City. But let me back up before we get to New York. There was a time that I believe it was Florida and Texas and probably another state or two, but Florida and Texas got a whole bunch of, because everybody was not really caring about the illegal things that were happening in Florida and Texas and the fact they were getting overrun, their budgets,
Yeah.
law, all that stuff.
And no help from D.C.
Nobody else cared about it.
Right.
And so both Governor Abbott and
DeSantis,
sent truckloads and plane flights for all their illegals
to
up
Martha's
to
Vineyard,
Martha's Vineyard in Chicago.
New York City.
And at the time, I didn't like the play. I was like, oh, that's just, why are we making this up? Now you're moving them inland, right? This is not going to be good. But they made everybody else feel their pain. New York particularly started feeling the pain really bad. And Eric Adams had just become mayor. And at the time, he was like, okay, you're welcome here. Sanctuary City. Remember, he was even
Well, because
welcoming.
they're also cashing in on USAID money.
Yeah. Well, it got dry. And all of a sudden, the people there, and we saw this, a lot of people, this really helped Trump a lot. A lot of people were complaining about their streets and their communities.
Right.
And why are all of a sudden the money and the aid that was used for us going to illegals, and now you tell me that you don't have any money? There were town hall meetings in 2002. Like, yo, how come all the money that we were getting is now theirs, and they got our buildings, and they're staying in hotels, and now we're out here left to, Chicago is going through this, New York is going through this.
Yeah.
And so Eric Adams stood up and really, really tried to deal with the problem.
He heard from his people.
And as a mayor, he's like, okay, we got to deal with this. Yes, illegal immigration is a problem. I got these people. I got to deal with it. And so Eric Adams starts making the play to try and get something done. He goes then to Biden and say, yo, we have a problem. Can we do something about this?
Okay.
So here's Eric Adams talking to Tucker Carlson, by the way, about what happened when he went to Biden.
Do you know when this date was? When this
When
interview was?
This interview is probably a couple
6 months old.
No. This is probably 2 months old.
Okay.
Oh, wow. Okay, so real recent.
Check the date on this for me,
Yeah, make
Banks,
sure we
because
get it
this
right.
is recent.
Okay.
I spoke with the president himself. I spoke with the president first. Then the president came here to New York City. The governor and I sat down with the president. And I said,
talking about
Mr.
Biden.
President,
President
I'm not sure
Biden.
what they're telling you about this problem, but this is a terrible problem that's playing out on the ground. That we need to fix our border, and we need to just stop allowing people to come into the country with no destiny. We don't know what we're doing with them. And there was some that were coming here that were almost 6 months to a year, in some cases 2 years, without any work authorization. Like, what do you do with someone that cannot provide for themselves for that long period of time?
Well, what do you do?
We had to house them. We had to feed, clothe, house,
He called DeSantis.
educate 40,000 children, hold them into a
40,000?
shelter system. The complete package of what you would do for an adult that can't take care of themselves.
Wow.
And so you tell the president and his aides this, and what do they say?
Basically, be a good Democrat, Eric.
Be a good Democrat?
That was the basic overall theme. One of his aides told me that, listen, this is like a gallstone. It'll pass.
It's like a gallstone, it'll pass.
Yes.
Oh, my goodness.
It'll hurt now, but it'll pass.
Well, you pee it out then.
Well said.
So
Wow. Be a good Democrat.
be a good Democrat. And
Get in
so,
line.
and he's has to
This
serve
would
his
be
people.
like a gallstone.
And particularly black people don't like being told get in line.
That's not a, and the fact that they
A
decided
white
to-
person be like, all right, I'll get in line.
Well, Zelensky didn't.
Tulsi did. No.
No. But and so he's sitting up here saying, I got to help my people. I got to figure out something.
Yeah.
And so he started fighting against this
Yep.
in the middle of an election. He wasn't. He was a good Democrat for his people.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
He wasn't a good Democrat to Biden.
Right.
And so he's like, okay, we got to do something about illegal immigration. He starts sounding like Trump and everybody on the right saying, yo, we have an illegal immigration problem, while everybody else in the media, everybody else on the left,
you're not supposed to say
you're
that.
not supposed to say
if you're
that
on the
publicly.
left, there's no problems with immigration.
And he's like, we have a problem. And so whenever you get to Tucker Carlson to have a conversation, you know you've reached the end of your rope.
Right. Of your Democrat acceptance rope.
And so what I believe happened, and I think even he talks about this, he believes happened too, right after this, he gets indicted.
Okay. Wow.
So
that was a signal.
That was like, okay, you won't shut up, we'll shut you up.
Yeah.
Okay, we can't trust anything you say because you're corrupted.
Right.
By the way, we're talking about New York, so I don't trust that anybody there is not a little bit.
Yeah. Who's not corrupt in New York?
Even they're like all of them are Fisk to me. We're doing it for the good of the people,
and
right?
So he got indicted back in September 2024.
Right.
It's just last September.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. The indictment came right towards
because in the middle of this presidential election,
he got
under
loud.
the Biden administration.
We cannot have Democrat mayor making noises like Trump might be right.
Yep.
That's right.
In the lead up to this election.
Get in line.
And so I got really intrigued because I'm like, wait a second, you have a Democrat who is pure Democrat.
Yeah.
He's and it's funny, I kind of like this guy. I wish you know what it is? I miss the old kind of Democrats.
Yeah, this is old school Democrat.
He's not we disagree on a lot.
But like working class, just like down to earth Democrat. Not crazy ideological leftist
Democrat. Yeah, he's not a progressive.
Right.
It's probably the difference between the two.
Yeah, right.
And so when he gets indicted, what ends up happening is, so Trump, they think they're going to win.
Yep.
The Democrats do. They indict him, try to shut him up. He only gets louder. He goes and starts talking to everybody. And then what was it that happened after that? Trump gets elected.
Right.
Trump gets elected and removes the indictment. His administration removes the indictment from him.
Okay.
And what he ends up doing is now the next thing I know, I see Eric Adams signal to Tom Homan, I want you to come out here and let us talk to you.
Wow. So he's still concerned about this.
Yes.
Still wants to help his people.
Yes.
And so he gets a hold of Trump's new immigration czar.
And what starts that conversation is that ICE says we're going to start going into these sanctuary cities and we're going to start cracking down on illegals in sanctuary cities. And we're going after the worst of the worst first. That's what we're going to do. That's what we're going to target. Eric Adams, I remember seeing it online. Hey, Holman, come out here. Let's have a chat. He initiated the conversation.
Yeah, right.
Holman comes out there. They sit down and talk. And the next thing I know, I see these guys sitting together on Fox and Friends.
What?
Whoa.
Trump's immigration guy.
Yep.
And Eric Adams, Democrat mayor of New York City.
Yep.
On Fox and Friends.
So you know it's bad.
Yeah. And that interview was pretty funny, too, because there's a lot of agreement between Tom and Adam. But when there was disagreement, Tom was like, yeah, we're going to sort through that all right.
Tom was very like, I came here to get what I wanted.
Yeah.
I was gonna get something.
Yeah.
And if he breaks his deal, I'll be back in his butt.
Yeah.
Right? Like
That's what he said. That's literally what he said.
He's like, I'm gonna be back and deal with it. It was a great interview. It's like 12 to 15 minutes.
Yeah.
And it was interesting because you would think that around this issue, everybody should have the same idea.
Right.
This is America. These are our borders, and you can't come here illegally.
Right.
Got the end. It's not even. That's not a bipartisan issue. This is just like this is what we are.
Or just come here and be a freeloader.
Right. Exactly. That too. And that's he still is wrong on sanctuary cities.
Yeah. Right.
What he's trying to say with sanctuary cities, I think, in my best reading of this, is that the law should apply to everybody who's here on this land, and we shouldn't treat people unlawfully.
Yeah.
Well,
fair enough.
But that's right. But if that's the case, if the law should apply, what about to thieves?
Right.
Right.
Yep.
They have
which New York has had a problem.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So he comes and sits down, and one of the things that people have been saying is like, "Yo," I can't find the exact place, but on the Fox and Friends interview, they asked him about the indictment. Now, they ask if it's a quid pro quo. Did they remove the indictment if you decided? Because what he did was he gave Holman access to Rikers Island.
Okay.
Which is where some of the MS-13 and a lot of the information they need to be able to get to more roots inside of the ICE movement, inside of illegal immigration and stuff is right there. And so he's like, give access to it. Driving Kathy Hochul absolutely nuts.
The governor
of New York, because she doesn't want ICE anywhere in her city or anywhere in her state.
Yeah. But Adams gives them access.
Adams gives them access.
Right.
Which, by the way.
And office space.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, all of a sudden you start seeing Rachel Maddow sit down with Kathy Hochul and say, I've been paying attention to all the laws. Did you know that as the governor, you can just remove the mayor?
What?
Have you considered that?
What?
And she's like, well, yes, we've considered all this, and those are things, and we're trying to hope it doesn't come to that and everything.
Wow.
So
Wow.
it's actually, so they're, just because he's doing this, they are absolutely in every way thinking about ways they can get rid of him.
Right.
And so he gave him access to Rikers Island. One of the things they were concerned about is, was this a quid pro quo from Trump?
Right.
If they give you access,
will you give him access?
Here's what I believe happened. When you have pressure from the Democratic Party not to talk, not to care about your people, you push people to any place that they can go to get help. Trump's AG is just like, this is a case that's not worth engaging with.
Yeah.
Throw it out. And I think he has to look at this and say, wow, that was nice.
Yeah. Right.
I don't,
Or here's people I can actually work with.
that's what I mean by that.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, this administration at least is not trying to be vindictive towards me.
Right.
How about I extend the favor and say, how can we work together?
An olive branch.
Yeah, olive branch. Like, look, I don't want illegals here. You don't want illegals here.
Right.
They're destroying our economy.
Right.
What does it look? Well, this is a sign that you're willing to work with me in a way to protect the American people.
Right.
That's what it seemed like, because the indictment was trash. This is a clip of, let's go to the indictment where he talks to Tucker what the indictment was. Because if anybody knows about what
the September 2024 indictment was.
Because here's the deal. If anybody understands lawfare and what it looks like and how it's applied and what it does to your society, it would be Trump and his administration of people he's been working with.
Right.
Right. Trump knows what it's like to have the government come after you for nothing.
Right.
And then to really, in one case or another, try to win.
Right.
Or win.
Yeah.
And so he goes on to Tucker, and I really recommend that everybody goes and listen to it's like an hour. And
is this the same interview?
This is the same interview. Yeah.
So he's gonna talk about the indictment.
Yes. So this is him talking to Tucker about the indictment.
And so it's
So just to be clear for people who haven't read the indictment,
start over.
Just go right in that clip.
All right, go.
And so it's
So just to be clear for people who haven't read the indictment, you are accused of being bribed by the Turkish government to allow the Turkish president or prime minister, pardon my not remembering,
to allow the Consul General.
My apologies.
To get an inspection to determine if they could pass a fire inspection. And if they couldn't do it, you see in the indictment, I clearly stated to manage the expectation if it couldn't be done.
So you get a call from the Turkish government and they say Turkish officials want to occupy their own consulate, which is being built in New York, hasn't received a fire inspection yet. You call FDNY and say, hey, can you do, the government wants to occupy their own building. I'm the mayor, is another country. They want to occupy their own building. Can you go ahead and do the fire inspection? There's no evidence that the building was a fire trap or out of compliance with any fire regulation. Is this correct?
Exactly.
Right.
So,
okay.
That's over international relationships
and a building code.
And so he's doing favors for the Turkish folk.
That's the indictment?
That was the indictment.
That he did like favors for them by like getting them into their building.
Because he said, I guess he actually said, hey, whatever the responsibility, if it's good, then it's good. If it's bad, it's bad. I guess
manage their expectations.
Manage their expectations, but is it possible to get it done? It sounds fair to me. It doesn't seem like it's a horrible thing to do.
I don't believe in building codes anyway.
I know.
So he goes on, and that's what the indictment is over. So no wonder it gets thrown out. But it was enough to actually create some fuss to try and shut him up.
Right.
So then, he's talking to Tucker, and it was really interesting. Watch the whole interview again. But then Tucker starts getting at him about sanctuary cities.
Right.
And it's like, yo, here's your problem.
Yeah, you set yourself up.
You set yourself up because you're doing these sanctuary cities. And I was just amazed that indentured servitude has always been, for me, the answer for a lot of our immigration problems.
Yeah.
And everybody has some form of it.
Right.
But it was interesting.
Nobody wants to call it that.
Nobody wants to call it that.
Yeah.
And it was interesting to see Eric Adams admit that, or at least talk about indentured servitude without knowing that's what he's doing.
Because this is what I'm getting from my other mayors.
Yeah.
My other mayors are saying across the country, Eric, we need workers. We have places in our city where we have population problems. We have places like in Kentucky, they need backstretch workers. Here, I need nurses. I need other professionals. I need food service workers. We in dire need of workers in this country.
Hit pause.
Now, if we would have said,
Okay. I just want to remind everybody at this point what he said. We're in dire need of workers in this country. Pastor, you brought up the idea of the Sansdemic. In New York right now, you have a 50-50 chance of being born to a black woman in New York because of abortion.
That's right. Yeah.
And we don't got enough workers.
You could fix your problem in 20 years if you just stop killing black babies in New York.
For real.
Right. That's insane. That's insane. Okay, I just want to bring.
I also wonder, how, the flight of COVID too.
Sure.
I mean, that costs. That's another layer.
Yeah, that's right.
There's all sorts of, but
and then people just choosing not to have kids.
Yeah. You kill life. You kill life.
Barrenness breeds barrenness.
Yeah. Keep going.
When you come into the country, you're not going to go where you want to go. You're going to go to the city where we need you. Stay there for 3 years, 4 years, and then you could decide to go anywhere.
Like indentured servitude.
Oh, no, they're working.
Well, so do the indentured servants.
Exactly.
They're not doing it for free.
Nobody said it.
And if you want to come, if we control the border and make sure prior to people coming in that you know where you're going and what you're doing, and not this free for all that we're seeing right now. That is where the crises lie. Real immigration reform and securing our borders. And I said it over and over again.
Yeah,
wow.
that is
That's interesting.
You can see why that didn't play well during the Biden administration.
Yeah. They don't want that.
It's not going to play well.
They don't want that.
But I listened to him, and I'm like, this guy. Democrats have a testosterone problem. Yes. Right, they have way too much estrogen. They don't have any men leading the way. Yeah. And Eric Adams has some gravitas to him that is different from most Democrats that I see.
Yeah.
Well, and
even Obama.
Oh yeah. This dude will punch you in the mouth.
Right. Well, he was a police officer.
That's right. Yes.
Right?
For years.
For years.
Yes.
Real world.
So I mean, that's reality.
He's been on the streets.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so now you got all these people who were asking him to step down and wanting him to get to quit.
And the governor's talking playing with maybe I remove him.
Yes, and so he goes and does some Black History event.
A reception.
A reception.
Yeah.
And this clip has been kind of surfacing on the internet. I wish it had more views, but it hasn't. Yeah. But just check out this guy.
And so I was driving on the Belt Parkway. And on the way, getting off at the Farmers Boulevard exit, there was a car on the side of the road with the hood up, and a man was under it. And inside the car, when I walked past it, I pulled over. Once a police officer, my brother Bernard would say, you're always a police officer. I pulled up next to him and asked him, was everything all right? But inside the car, there was a woman with a baby. She was holding it, and it was extremely cold. And he stated that, sir, my alternator was bad, and my battery died. And if I can get a boost, just move to the gas station on Farmers Boulevard in the North Conduit. And I stated that I will give you a boost. I pulled up next to his car and pulled out my battery cables. And we couldn't see because he was parked under an area where the light wasn't. And I remember I had a book of matches.
Had him ready.
He was ready.
And I pulled out the first match.
Some of the people heard this in the audience before. They knew what the
no, they didn't.
Yeah. Blew out third, fourth. The wind blew it out. Several other matches. And finally, I remember when my dad used to smoke. He used to cuff the flame to prevent the wind from blowing it out. And we used about 12 or 13 matches, but finally, we were able to connect the positive, the negative to the cables. He started his car and he drove off. And I sat there in the car looking at those book of matches. And it's representative of what we are right now. Each match represents an individual, a human being. No matter who you are, we did not sign a contract in life that immortality is part of our existence. We're mortal just like that flame. It will burn and then it will be extinguished. It will go out. The question is what are we going to do with our light? Some people use their light as emotional arsonists and burn the dreams of others and enjoy it. There were some books, some matches in the books that no matter how much I struck it, it would not light. Some folks are just mere insignificant pieces of paper with red tips on them. You got to discard them.
Whoa.
But the most powerful part of it was that match one did not see the car drive off. Match 1 did its job. Match 2, 3, 4, and 5 did their job. And so as we look at this relay race of life, don't worry about who gets across the finish line. Just make sure you do the right handoff with the baton so the person continue the race. Nat Turner didn't see Marcus Garvey, but he did his leg. Marcus didn't see Rosa Parks, but he did his leg. Rosa Parks did not see Barack Obama, but she did her leg. Each leg of the race is to allow the next race to go through and continue the relay in the proper way.
He's right.
David Dinkins created our MWBE program, but I took up the baton and made sure that the race he started, we're doing it with 30%, 32% going to the MWBEs. That's where we are. So this is a biblical moment. You know, when Jesus was on the cross, he said, God, forgive them, for they know not what they do. All these Negroes who are asking me to step down, God, forgive them.
Oh, man.
Oh.
Are you stupid? I'm running my race right now. How in the middle of the race, a race that has built more housing in year 1 and year 2 in the history of the city. A race where you put 33% billions of dollars in MWBEs. A race where you are witnessing more young people signed up for pre-K and 3K.
Notice the phones go up.
More people cycle out of homelessness into permanent housing in the history of individual years. More people moving from homelessness into permanent housing in the history of those independent years. More people participating in the FEP voucher program in the history of the program.
More that one's live streaming.
The city of New York in its 400-year history. 1 in 5 jobs in small businesses started under this administration. Decreasing the cost of child care so mothers can go back and be in the work environment from $55 a week to less than $5 a week. Taking 20,000 handguns off our street so bullets don't carve highways of death, killing our young people so they can't run their relay. Closing over 1,300 smoke shops in the city. Paying for the college tuition of foster care children so they can go to college and get a life coach until they're 26 years old. What we have done, you have to be stupid to try to stop me from running this race.
I think Trump made a mistake.
Why?
You should have let that indictment roll. This dude's a whole problem.
Yeah.
I don't think there has, I don't agree with me and him have completely different positions on everything he's saying.
That's a total straight Democrat
platform that he just rattled off.
Government program,
billions
government program. Yes.
And he's fighting with his own people to be able to do it because they move so far from. This is how just progressive they are.
Yeah.
But if Democrats ever decided to wake up and look up just a little bit, like this is their guy.
Yeah.
Right.
Like this is, and he did this without a prompter.
Right. Yeah.
This
Look at that.
is all just from his head and heart.
Yeah. Right.
And I don't think Trump gets as much of the black vote too with a guy like that.
Yep.
When it's like, well, shoot, he wants
right.
to protect the border. We line there, right? We want to make sure, okay, how are we going to, he's talking about making sure I can run my race because he runs his race.
Yeah.
That's rhetoric that really connects.
Right.
And I haven't heard anybody really.
That's style. I mean, like that's black church style. Like
Who don't like that kind of preaching?
He's got the congregation going for him in that room.
I couldn't give him the organ because I'm like, nah, that's all Democratic policy. But I
like that Matt story.
But it touched you, don't it?
There's something about it just to hear like the old enemy back. Like,
well,
that's right.
Well, and he called Kathy Hochul a Negro.
Well, basically the way he did, y'all trying to get me to, I think he was talking to all of them in one sense.
Yeah.
One thing that's going to be interesting, I know he's not a conservative. I know he's not a Republican. I don't think he's going that way. They asked him, hey, when you run again, are you going to run on the Republican ticket? He's like, I'm running on the Democratic ticket.
Right.
That's what he's running on. I think they're going to push him out. But one of the things that I've been seeing around conservatives, especially, it's been really interesting. You have these people who have moved more right, who were left, and a lot of black folks, and the dialogue is becoming very different than what we're used to in traditional political conversations. Listen to what he just said. y'all niggas trying to get me to quit. Yeah. Are you stupid?
Yeah.
The dialogue is going to get really crazy. A lot of people ain't going to understand. The more black folks become conservative, then we're not going to talk to y'all the way that white folks talk to y'all.
Yeah.
It's just not going to be the same way. Y'all going to miss the good old days.
Do you think this is?
I mean, look at Shamika Michelle. They can barely handle her.
Yeah.
Do you think this is? I mean, so there's one flavor of that in the black community.
Yeah.
That you're talking about, but it also seems like there's something going on more broadly. I mean, when's the last? I mean, just again, Trump and Vance with Zelensky.
That's true.
I mean, like, there's a lot. There they are, and there's like all of a sudden they're like, you be quiet.
Yeah.
Like, you're being disrespectful in this room. Like, I mean, never. I can't remember a time when I've seen a conversation like that between presidents.
I have never seen that kind of conversation.
So my question, though, is the nature of dialogue changing across the board? And obviously there'll be a flavor of it that's sort of the black style. There's a flavor of
the
it
Trump
that's
style.
the Trump style. But is it like, I mean, is it breaking? Is it kind of breaking down in some ways across the board?
Maybe
that's an interesting
you might be right.
there,
That's actually probably what it is that it's really American style.
Right.
Well, once we get fed up, the niceties are gone.
Right.
We're done with you. We're going to be straight. It's a way more forward style because Eric Adams can be super polished. He can't. He was not being polished there at all.
Well, he set it up well. He set it up. He did the sermon, and then he punched.
But normally what you get kind of like this, you get this kind of dialogue from guys like Jamal Bryant, right? Some of that fight. But I think you're right. No, there is a difference in the public rhetoric that people are saying, finally, people are talking the way that we've been talking privately the whole time.
Well, that shows you how strong cancel culture has been. I mean, even for the left, too.
Right.
I mean, cancel culture.
Right.
I mean, we couldn't say ivermectin on YouTube. I mean, you'd step out of the line and with the Democratic Party, apparently,
I will say this, though.
Where's the clip? Do you have the clip about? Maybe it was in the same speech, but where did he said earlier, I will talk to who I want to talk to.
It's later in that.
It's in the same one?
Yeah. You're going to try and make me talk to who I'll talk to.
Because he got in trouble for talking to Trump. The Democrats got on him for talking to Trump, and he said, "I'm the mayor of the biggest city in America.
Yeah, and
I'll talk to who I want to."
And Tom Holman and whoever else is like, I'm the mayor of New York City. I will talk to who I want to. But I think your point is right. I think there's been cancel culture across the board. I think,
and within the Democratic Party, they're policing themselves in their language.
I'm bouncing back and forth here, but I will say this: the way black folks talk to each other and the way white folks talk to black folks going to talk to black folks differently, differently than white folks.
Of course.
There's going to be,
but I do think there's something deep. I mean, I think Europeans and Brits, have always thought we had that problem.
Sure, but it is an American problem.
I'm just saying, like, I think Americans, we have a way from jump. We're like, you're trying to speak all this fancy, highfalutin, scholastic,
trying to be civil,
whatever, and we're like, you're taking our money.
Stop it.
Stop it.
Yes.
This is illegal. Stop it.
And I'm just saying that, yes, I agree with you. It is an American style.
And I'll grant you your point.
Inside of that American style, there's a certain sect that does it a little different. The blacks and the Scots are kind of roughly the same.
Yeah, I know. But that's kind of my point.
This is the black redneck Thomas Sawell thing.
That's kind of my point, though. It's like, I mean, I think
culturally, blacks and Scots are pretty close to like.
What's Thomas Sowell called? It's like
black rednecks, white liberals.
I mean, I think there's kind of a black redneck. Deep in the American soul, and I think it's you got this. It's the Scottish Anglo-Saxon thing.
Yep.
And that's rough around the edges.
Very rough.
That's vulgar. That's
mix a little Irish in there too.
Yeah, and then you mix a little bit of African, Caribbean, I don't know whatever else, and
then mix all that with covenant theology. I mean, what was really interesting here too was like what he's talking about with the match was really inspiring. He's right about that.
Yeah,
like how he decided to use it was wrong, but what he's talking about is you don't always see. You got first generation, second generation, third generation.
You be faithful.
You be faithful, and you do what you're supposed to do when you're lit.
Yeah, don't be a useless match.
Right. Yeah.
Just a red tip.
Yeah. And then eventually, what ends up happening is it gets to where you can be effective so the car can go.
Right.
And what needs to be accomplished can be accomplished, but you might not ever see that car go.
Yeah.
Right.
But you will be a part of helping it.
We jumped over the part where he's talking about the moms and the grandmas saving pennies and nickels and quarters for their kids so they might be able to go to college, or their grandkids to be able to go to college.
America's built like that.
That's right. And
it's really good to hear that kind of tradition.
You know, to your point, I mean, that's the way a dad talks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. He's being a father right there.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's crazy it is.
No, I mean, he's a Democrat father. You know, he still believes in government programs, but he's being a dad, and the point of him, you know, he's being inspiring.
Yeah.
And he's being hard.
So
he's being inspiring, and he's saying you all are being stupid.
Yeah.
So here's the Democrat Party is going to move out guys like him. He's not going to be able to survive the Democrat Party, and this is my fear. We'll get guys like him, but they don't get baptized.
Yeah.
They don't wash off the Democrat worldview from them, and they come into the Republican Party, and then we get soft in the Republican Party. But we have enough to say, okay, let's work together, and like the populist movement. And so I'm grateful. I would just want him to get converted if he's going to, because they're definitely going to push him out. There's no way he can stay in the Democratic Party, unless they're trying to rebrand.
Well, if they keep pushing him, I mean, it's, you know, I think you're right. That's the concern. It's the, you know, we talk about, keep your blue state stuff in your blue state. Don't track that into our red states.
Yeah.
You know, there's that sense. And I think we all have those concerns with RFK and Tulsi Gabbard. It's like, careful, and RFK on abortion and all this kind of stuff. And at the same time, I would say it's been kind of interesting to watch how far right they seem to be creeping.
Yeah.
They're not converted.
No.
Yeah.
But they're friendly. They're not converted, but they're giving concessions.
It works because Trump is such a strong leader.
Right.
If you don't have a strong leader like Trump, then RFK is going to start fudging the lines a little bit.
Right.
But even then, like, I'd say one of the things that Trump has done so well is he's put RFK in a lane that we kind of, our conservativeness agrees with him. It agrees right there. Because even RFK was talking about, we needed to fund Planned Parenthood. We shouldn't be paying money to him.
Yeah.
RFK's for abortion, but he's like, I don't think we should be paying money to Planned Parenthood. So he's doing things as a liberal that conservatives wouldn't even do.
Right.
I think Eric Adams is a guy to be watching in one way or another, because I kind of want to see the story. The other thing is, one of the things that the biggest problem with guys like Eric Adams is they don't know how to separate spheres. So Eric talked about this when he was with Tucker. The reason he got so involved and wanted to run for mayor was because as a police officer, he's like, I saw the kids. I would arrest a kid. The next thing I know, I have to arrest him again because he's back out here on the streets. And it was just a cycle that he said, I don't know how to stop. And so he's like, there's no programs. There's nothing set up to keep these kids. And it's like, you're right. There's a problem here that the church then needs to be empowered to be able to do and fix, because you have to have families, you have to have fathers, you have to have people who are disciplining and working and cultivating human beings. That's not the civil magistrate's job. And he sees that, and he's like, but okay, this is what I have that I can work with. And so he throws programs in. He learns the proper process and gets baptized. This is, it's interesting how that changes when you start putting things in the right perspective.
Right. I wonder if, too, I mean, reality, I mean, this world belongs to Christ, and reality has a way of confronting you.
Yes.
And I think there's a sense in which Eric Adams is where he is right now and is who he is because of reality.
He was a police officer.
A police officer. And so he cares about that. He's not sort of, again, this sort of crazy ideologue. He's just dealing with practical problems right in front of him. The Turkish people want their embassy. There's people on the streets that, I want to help them. There's immigrants that are taking over and getting in the way of the livelihoods of my people. I think maybe the hope would be that, as if the Democrats won't talk to him, the Democrats won't have him. Then maybe Tucker will keep talking to him.
I would love to have him on here and challenge him with some of those, but that's a Democrat that I can talk to.
Exactly.
That's somebody I feel like I can engage with and say, okay, I've seen David Bonson do this really well, where it's like, wait a second, what is our job here? We are a business. We are a company. Our job is for profits. If it doesn't produce profits, then it doesn't work, right? And so any sort of false idea and worldview that produces anything other than profits is out of here. Just so happens Christianity is the one that produces profits, right? This is what works. And to be able to sit down and talk with him and apply biblical worldview to it, and I think he would listen to that and probably sign off. He's we need to pray for another biblical moment for
Eric
Adams.
Yeah, that's good.
All right,
Yeah,
tomorrow we're going to talk about all the Ukraine Zelensky stuff because it is
we had to let that play out over the weekend,
it's still
all the way
cooking.
into Tuesday.
Yeah, so if you're single, get married. If you're married, have you some kids. And if you have kids, go baptize them. Until tomorrow, love God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength. Love your neighbor as yourself. Go fight, laugh, and feast. This is Cross Politic.
Hi, I'm Robert Borton, CEO of Classical Conversations. Our most precious commodity is time. No one has ever lied on their deathbed wishing they had spent more time making money. They all wish they had spent more time creating a legacy. Our modern education system steals that legacy, steals that time from our children. That's why I'm passionate about homeschooling. That's why at Classical Conversations we want to give you more time to create that legacy, follow your passions, and glorify God. Visit classicalconversations.com for more information.